economic integration, legal approximation, and convergence with EU policies. The two of us will co-chair the meeting, so I will start off and will hand on to Mrs. Galstian at a later stage. Before we start our discussions, I shall stress that as part of its agenda, our committee will be voting today on its amended report on the promoting fair trade, cooperation and investments between the EU and the EAP countries in support of connectivity, green transition, and infrastructure development, which after confirmation by the Bureau will be then submitted as a motion for resolution to the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly for final adoption tomorrow. I would also like to inform you that interpretation is available in English, German, and Russian. Now with that, I would like to move to the adoption of the draft agenda. If there are no objections, the agenda is adopted. Are there any objections? That's not the case. The agenda is adopted. Secondly, I would like to move to the approval of the draft minutes of the joint meeting of the Euronest Committee on Economic Integration, Legal Approximation and Convergence with EU policies held on 19th of March 2024 in Brussels. I wasn't in Parliament back then, but I would like to bring those forward for the approval. The draft minutes were distributed to all of you as members. Are there any objections? If there are none, the minutes are approved. Now, the third agenda point is our vote on the draft report on the economic impact of the Russian war of aggression on Ukraine and the Eastern neighborhood. Now, the two co-rapporteurs on this report are Mrs. Maria Karapetyan, who is here, welcome, and Adrian George Axinia from the European Parliament, who's not here. As per rotation rules, Ms. Karapetyan was our leading co-rapporteur this time, and we decided on the topic of the report during the ordinary meeting of the committee on 19th of March in Brussels of this year. As it was decided by the Bureau, the amendment procedure took place electronically last week ahead of today's meeting, and this will allow us to have more time for our discussions today. A total of 12 amendments to the draft report have been submitted, of which 6 were approved, and the consolidated draft report has been distributed by email to the members by the Secretariat and is also available in paper copy in the room. I would like to now give the floor to the co-rapporteur on the European Parliament side, Mrs. Maria Karapetyan. Mrs. Karapetyan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Co-Chair. Dear co-chairs, dear colleagues, first of all, as the head of delegation for Armenia to Euronest PA, I would like to welcome you all to Armenia. We're very happy to have you here, and we wish all of us to have good, productive discussions these couple of days. It is a great honor for me to take the floor to present the resolution of our committee, which this year focuses on promoting fair trade, cooperation, and investments between the European Union and the Eastern Partnership countries in support of connectivity, the green transition, and infrastructure development. I would like to thank my co-rapporteur, Adrian George Axinia, for the collaboration, and all of the MPs for their contributions and the submitted amendments that were voted into the resolution. I hope it now reflects a balanced text that is fit for all of us. So our resolution builds upon the European Union's key strategies and instruments, such as the Global Gateway and the Trans-European Transport and Energy Networks, and places them in the specific context of the Eastern Partnership region. It underlines that the Global Gateway is not only an economic initiative, but also a geostrategic framework. In a landscape of competing global connectivity projects, it offers a distinct European approach to connectivity, promoting sustainable and transparent cooperation based on equal partnership. The resolution reaffirms that connectivity must go hand in hand with good governance and integrity safeguards. The resolution calls for the promotion of fair, transparent, and sustainable trade and investment between the EU and the Eastern Partnership countries. It stresses the need for predictable and transparent regulatory frameworks, judicial independence, and the rule of law as essential to attract investment. It also highlights the importance of fighting corruption, simplifying administrative procedures, and supporting public-private partnerships. A special emphasis is placed on small and medium-sized enterprises, startups, and women and youth-led businesses, recognizing them as key drivers of innovation and employment. The resolution calls for targeted support to improve SME access to finance, skills, and markets. It also underscores the role of social dialogue and the social economy in building sustainable and inclusive growth. Turning now to country-specific points. In Ukraine, the Global Gateway and the Ukraine Facility are supporting not just reconstruction, but transformation, ensuring that recovery efforts align with the EU acquis and long-term integration objectives. For Moldova, the resolution recognizes the clear European choice and commitment to EU membership and underlines the EU's support in achieving full integration through sustained progress on institutional reforms, economic convergence, and infrastructure alignment with EU standards. In Georgia, projects such as the East-West Highway and the Black Sea submarine electricity cable demonstrate the tangible power of regional cooperation. These are not only roads or cables, they are bridges of opportunity connecting our markets and people. In Azerbaijan, the resolution recognizes the strategic role the country plays as an energy and connectivity hub between Europe and Asia. And in Armenia, my own country, the resolution acknowledges that we're working to transform our geography into opportunity. Through the Crossroads of Peace initiative, we seek to reconnect the region through open borders. We are grateful for the European Union's partnership in this effort, for supporting our reform agenda, and for recognizing that peace and connectivity can be mutually reinforcing. The resolution also welcomes the fact that Armenia and Azerbaijan have established peace and recommitted to opening regional communications based on sovereignty and territorial integrity. It notes that such progress is key to unlocking the full connectivity and development potential of the South Caucasus. In this respect, we're also looking forward to the opening of the Armenia-Turkey border, which would represent a breakthrough for regional connectivity. This development would create a new vital link between the European Union, the South Caucasus, and Central Asia, fostering new trade routes and economic opportunities. It would also generate strong synergies between the Global Gateway and the Middle Corridor, integrating them into a more coherent and inclusive network that connects Europe with Asia through sustainable, transparent, and peaceful cooperation. Beyond individual countries, the resolution stresses also strategically relevant regional projects, such as the Black Sea submarine electricity cable. The resolution reaffirms that sustainable connectivity, fair trade are cornerstones of the Eastern Partnership's transformation. They strengthen not only our economies, but also our regional stability. Dear colleagues, once again, thank you for all the amendments that you have submitted and voted into the resolution. I think we've achieved a comprehensive coverage, linking trade and investment with sustainability, good governance, peace, and shared prosperity. To conclude, this resolution calls upon all our governments, parliaments, and institutions to translate principles into coordinated action through equal partnership, mutual respect, and a common commitment to Europe's wider security and resilience. Thank you. I yield back to you, Madam Co-Chair.
Thank you very much for this in-depth presentation and all the work you've done on the report. Thank you very much. Now, the floor is now open for discussions. I invite all of the members who wish to take the floor to raise their nameplates. Any contributions? Yes, please.
Good morning, dear colleagues there. We want to support the rapporteur and all the work and the 12 amendments I think we present in the rapporteur. These areas like the cooperation, investments between the EU in support in support of connectivity, green transition and infrastructure development are very important. So congratulations, and we will support, of course.
Thank you very much. Are there any other interventions? If not, we can proceed right away to the votes. Please be reminded that for the sake of simplicity, we vote today by show of hands. Let me remind you that each member has a single personal and non-transferable vote. We have received no request for a vote by separate component, and the committee takes its decisions by a 2/3 majority of the members who take part in the vote. So let us proceed to the vote. Who approves the report as amended? So it's 9. Who rejects the report? And any abstentions? So we have a unanimous adoption of the report by 9 members. Well done and congratulations to the rapporteurs. I think we can be very proud of this very important report. Now, the adopted version of the report will be circulated shortly, and I would like to stress that the deadline for amendments for the plenary tomorrow has been set by the Bureau for the 29th of October at 10 o'clock. I would like to remind members that pursuant to Article 21 of our Rules of Procedures, amendments to text debated during the session may be tabled by a minimum of 5 members of the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly or by a political group. Amendments shall relate to the text they seek to alter and shall be submitted in writing. The Bureau may decide the amendments to be inadmissible on the basis of these criteria. And please note that amendments for the plenary should be tabled either in English or in Russian. Now, this closes our 3rd agenda point, and we continue with the 4th agenda point, which is an exchange of views on the road to integration, why transport connectivity matters for our relations. I would like to wish warm welcome to the guest speakers who kindly accepted our invitation to participate in that debate. Mrs. Diana Jablonska, Head of Unit Regional Strategy and Investment, Neighborhood Eastern Turkey, DG Enest. Wonderful, welcome. Then Mrs. Tia Melikatze, Associate Director, Infrastructure Eurasia Team, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Wonderful. And Mr. Arek Kochnian, President of the Research Center on Security Policy. Welcome. Well, few areas illustrate the tangible value of cooperation better than transport. Roads, railways, ports, and digital corridors are not just infrastructure, they are a lifeline of connection, trade, and opportunity. They bring people and markets closer, they strengthen resilience and lay the groundwork for deeper political and economic integration between the EU and our Eastern partners. Transport connectivity is undoubtedly a cornerstone of our shared prosperity and stability. Efficient, sustainable, and secure transport links are vital for unlocking the full potential of the Eastern Partnership region, facilitating trade, attracting investment, and fostering green and digital transitions. Projects under the Trans-European Transport Network extension and the Economic and Investment Plan already demonstrate what joint ambition can achieve when we backed by vision, funding, and political will. Yet connectivity is not only about infrastructure, it's about integration. It's about aligning standards, improving governance, and ensuring that every new road or railway brings us closer to a common European space built on shared values and mutual benefit. Today's dialogue is therefore not only about transport, it's about a future of open roads, routes, open markets, and open societies across the European continent. Now, Mrs. Diana Jablonska, I'm inviting you to speak to us for 10 minutes. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you very much. It is a great pleasure to be here in Yerevan, and I'm extremely pleased to have the opportunity to address this very high committee. Thank you very much, co-chairs. And also on such an important subject as it was just highlighted. I also believe that we are discussing this key issue of transport and also the connectivity in a very important moment. First of all, in the current geopolitical context, of course, many partners, many countries are seeking new partnerships and new ways to address growth, innovation, and connectivity as well. We are also talking in such a very important moment with the Washington agreements opening new opportunities and new doors also for this very important transport connectivity that we are going to discuss today. As you may remember, the European Commission, the EU, has already published a joint communication with a strategic approach to the Black Sea, where the connectivity is one of the most important flagship initiatives in this communication. This is because the Black Sea is, of course, a gateway between Europe and Central Asia, because it is an extremely important, pivotal region, important not only for connectivity connections, but also, of course, for the security of the region and also of the European Union. And in this joint communication, the EU has also outlined that we are working even on something broader. Of course, the Black Sea is an extremely important gateway, but we also work on the larger connections between the EU, Europe, through South Caucasus, Turkey, towards the Central Asia. And we have just had the opportunity to have a very unique meeting, ministerial meeting, on the 20th of October in Luxembourg, where we had the opportunity to discuss with all the partners this vision for connectivity. And we were extremely pleased. I think I speak here also recalling the chair conclusions, and the chairs were the HRVP, the High Representative Kaja Kallas, but also Commissioner Kroes and Commissioner Sikiela, who very much welcome the ministerial meeting, which gathered and discussed in two sessions. The first session was dedicated to security in the Black Sea, where all the Eastern Partnership countries, almost all Eastern Partnership countries were present, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Ukraine, and Moldova. And also this discussion on security was joined by Turkey. There was a second session which was dedicated to the connectivity agenda, which was joined also by the Central Asian countries. And this very important ministerial meeting actually allowed us to share the vision across the partners sitting around the table, and conclude that connectivity agenda is indeed an ambition that the partners would like to work together. And I think it's very important also to reflect why transport in the connectivity is in the heart of this connectivity agenda, because in the ministerial that I just mentioned, we have very much focus on a very broad geographical scope, as I said, connecting European Union through Europe through South Caucasus, Turkey to Central Asia. But also the discussion was that the connectivity agenda that we were launching together with partners at this ministerial should also reflect a vast scope of sectors. To be successful, the connectivity should embrace, of course, transport and trade, but also energy and digital sectors. Today we are focusing on the transport sector, and indeed transport connections are, of course, at the heart of all the connectivity agendas, and definitely of this one. And and I would like to underline maybe four the most important aspects that we see for developing transport routes and transport connections. As you may recall, we also had a Global Gateway Forum just before the ministerial, where we actually had the opportunity to hear from many partners, including international financial institutions and private sector, about the potential gains that we can have together mutually if investing in transport. And for example, what was underlined is that by 2040, there is a potential in the middle corridor, the Trans-Caspian transport route, to increase the trade fivefold more of trade. And in addition, the high-value trade could be even doubled. In addition, of course, such a investment in trade, in transport routes, would of course result with the very important gains in efficiency, meaning that we would be able to cut the time and the costs. Right now, the time is slightly unpredictable on the TCTC, the Trans-Caspian Transport Corridor. That is in the heart of was in the heart of the discussion in the ministerial, is in the heart of the connectivity agenda. We are hoping that from more than 40 days, the time can be cut to less than 2 weeks or even more with time. So that is extremely important because of course, the predictability that is so much needed for the private sector and of course for delivering the goods to the regions concerned. I think the most important principles or the most important priorities related to investing in transport and in the connectivity agenda actually relate to the regional and cross-regional integration, because building transport infrastructure, of course, is not only about the investment in roads, rails, and also ports, but in connecting people, in ensuring that the economies of the regions can flourish and be boosted by the new interconnections, that new diversified routes are developed, which of course increase the stability, the security of the regions, allow for more stability, because by diversification we also will allow to provide for new partnerships and also to address some dependencies. And therefore this aspect is extremely important, as also the one that relates to the footprint that we are leaving for the next generation. If we invest in transport with the sustainability in our mind, with ensuring that the new connections are, of course, in line with the objectives of the partners sitting across the table and also of the EU related to climate change and green transition, that, of course, will be an additional value for the region, especially a region which is so dramatically often hit by the climate change, by the effects of the climate change. So these reasons, I think, are showing how important it is to jointly work together on the connectivity agenda. I am, of course, very conscious that this is not an easy task. It will require all the partners to work together. I think we have already fantastic examples that how important working together and joint initiatives can be for the region, for the countries engaged, but also worldwide. Here I would like to refer, of course, to the solidarity lanes that have connected Ukraine through new routes, also with the very active engagement of Moldova, and allowed to reassure the global food safety. So we have a lot of extremely important initiatives also developed in a very dramatic geopolitical context to build on, and therefore it shows that when the partners sitting across the table join forces together, we definitely can address the difficulties, which definitely will be in implementing this ambitious connectivity agenda and the transport part of it. Of course, the infrastructure needs rehabilitation or needs revitalization or needs new developments and new investments. We need also investments in rail, in roads, but also in ports. We need investment in digitalization or facilitation of the trade routes. We need to address the border crossing points, because this route that we are talking about, the Trans-Caspian Transport Corridor or Middle Corridor, has to cross two seas and multiple borders to actually function. So investment in infrastructure definitely needs to go hand in hand with working together on soft measures, meaning agreeing how to make it, how to allow the goods to go faster through the borders. The solidarity lanes are again showing this is possible, agreeing how to work together on the regulatory environment of such trade routes, of transit routes, and that was very uplifting also in the ministerial that I referred to, that partners have very strongly recognized that the infrastructure have to go hand in hand with such soft measures and also some reforms. That is also very strongly recognized by our partners in international financial institutions and also in private sector, who spoke about it very strongly during the ministerial that I mentioned before. So the way forward is complex, but I think complex does mean solvable. So if we join forces, definitely we will find solution, and instead of corridors, we will actually build connections between countries, regions, and people. And this is, I think, the most important part of the connectivity agenda. We will have the possibility to discuss it in forthcoming meetings as well. There is a very important meeting by the end of November in Tashkent that will also allow to look how to take this agenda further. And in the ministerial, the chairs, the EU chairs have already concluded that that they stand ready, that EU stands ready to support coordination of such an ambitious connectivity agenda. That was also very much raised that in all the discussions that preceded this ministerial and also after that, that very important will be to really join forces, and that means that we need to coordinate among all the partners, because it's a lot of partners on the road. And I think Eastern Partnership gives us also a very important basis as a platform for such discussions as actually we can see today. So these discussions will continue, and we in the Commission are working on a reflection how to put a coordination framework in place, building, of course, of all the initiatives that have been developed so far, building on the strength of the Eastern Partnership, and proposing some framework to the partners. We are also working on a mapping on all existing knowledge and studies to see what actually the studies are showing us in terms of what should be the plan, where we should invest. And I think this is one of the most important discussions also during this meeting, how to take it forward. Because of course coordination mechanism, its aim is to deliver on a plan. So we also will have to, of course, agree on a plan of investments, prioritize these investments, work with the private sector, engage the private sector, work with our international financial institutions, because of course the financing will be very important as well. And of course we have to mobilize all potential resources. But I think we are discussing really in a historically important moment, and I believe that by joining forces, by really working together and discussing and going forward with decisive steps, this connectivity agenda will not only result in increased growth, and the growth can be of more than 3% if we listen to different partners who are studying this, but most importantly will also bring more security and stability in the regions concerned and also in the EU, and that's of course an extremely and higher added value. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Jablonska, for all the agenda insights, the vision insights, the mapping, the work you're doing on this. It's very important, and we now turn to how we can finance this and what's being planned in this respect. To Mrs. Tia Melikadze, she's Associate Director, Infrastructure Eurasia Team, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. We're looking forward to your insights.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable deputies of the National Assembly of Republic of Armenia, members of the European Parliament, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to address you on the vital topic of transport connectivity and its role in the EU Eastern Partnership relations. Transport is not just about infrastructure, it is the backbone of economic growth, regional integration, and social cohesion. Efficient, sustainable, and resilient transport networks enable the movement of people and goods, foster trade, and underpin prosperity. Connectivity is also a strategic tool, strengthening resilience and security in a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. Since its establishment, EBRD has played a significant role in developing and modernizing transport infrastructure across the region, in close partnership with the European Union. Our joint efforts in Armenia have delivered a diverse portfolio of projects, such as North-South Road Corridor, Sisian-Gajaran Road Project, and Megri Border Crossing, to enhance regional and international connectivity. Yerevan Customs and Logistics Center to support trade facilitation, modernization of Yerevan Metro to improve urban mobility and accessibility. Other ongoing projects, such as Unique Customs and Logistics Center, also continue to advance with EU's indirect support. Our work in Moldova is aligned with the growth plan's objectives and is underpinned by strong cooperation with the EU, which is not only financial but also strategic and policy-driven. The flagship initiative, TNT Road Network Rehabilitation Program, aims to modernize Moldova's core transport corridors, enhancing regional connectivity with Romania, Ukraine, and the EU. We are also working on Moldova railways, crisis response and modernization. EBRD is financing the rehabilitation of North-South Rail Corridor to strengthen Moldova's integration into EU-Ukraine solidarity lanes and support climate resilience and energy efficiency in rail transport. As for Georgia, which is also of strategic importance in the context of TNT and Middle Corridor, EBRD provided support to public and private sectors by investing in logistics, ports, roads, railways, as well as airports. EU and EBRD supported Georgia's Maritime Transport Agency to implement digital systems, enhancing port efficiency and transparency. To align with the EU goals and enhance Middle Corridor, EBRD supported digitalization of Georgian railways, improving e-services and business operations. EBRD, as I mentioned earlier, often relies on the EU support mechanisms in preparation and implementation of the transport sector investments. Neighborhood Investment Platform, so-called NIP, is one of the key vehicles of EU support, providing investment grants and TA that enabled many of the previously mentioned projects. Through EBRD's Municipal Infrastructure and Industrial Resilience Guarantee Program, EU also contributes via EFSD guarantees and technical assistance supporting logistics, interconnectivity, transport, and city infrastructure across the Eastern Partnership countries. In previous years, we have also cooperated as part of Municipal Project Support Facility with EBRD and EIB as implementing partners. We have delivered TA support for urban transport in a number of countries. Eastern Partnership Investment in Connectivity, so-called EPIC, is another initiative supporting the preparation of transport projects aimed at improving connectivity and facilitating the mobility of passengers and goods within the region and with the EU. EBRD pipeline is under development under EPIC and may potentially be applied to feasibility studies for roads and railway projects in Armenia and Moldova. We're also cooperating actively as part of the E5P, a multi-donor fund managed by EBRD, where EU is the largest donor, joined by Sweden, Germany, Denmark, Norway, Finland, and Poland. EIB, KfW, NEFCO, and CEB are implementing partners. EIP have supported numerous municipal transport projects, including bus projects in Yerevan, in Batumi, Tbilisi, Balti trolleybus, Balti mobility project, and prior to the war, several city transport projects in Ukraine. Despite these achievements, we still face challenges in the transport sector. Among others, these include condition of infrastructure, regulatory alignment, lack of digitalization, and climate resilience. EBRD is actively addressing these issues through TA, investments, and partnerships with local and international stakeholders. Looking ahead, EBRD is reviewing existing studies to identify new investment needs in the region, drawing on the successful EU-EBRD identification study done for Central Asia. As for the near future, EBRD will participate in the upcoming Trans-Caspian Transport Corridor Conference in Tashkent, end of November, which will bring together the EU Eastern Partnership and Central Asia to further strengthen collaborative efforts. In closing, transport connectivity is the key to integration. EBRD remains committed to working with the EU and our partners in the Eastern Partnership to deliver modern, sustainable, and resilient transport networks. Through investing in projects, we are building bridges, both literally and figuratively, towards a more united, secure, and dynamic region. Let's continue to harness our collective expertise and resources to ensure that the paths to integration remain open and transformative for all our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Melikate, for these wonderful insights into your intentions, also in the EIB, European Bank for Reconstruction. We now would like to go on to our third speaker, Mr. Arek Kochniak, President of the Research Center on Security Policy. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair, for the opportunity to have the speech. I will try to zoom out a little bit on the more of a strategic situation, on the worldwide connectivity situation and its effect on the region and on the EU Eastern Partnership and the EU connection. I will ask our colleagues to place the world map on the screen. I think it's more interesting than my face. Աշխարհի քարտեզը, So currently we have the unprecedented level of disruption of the global connectivity compared to anything after World War II. And first of all, this affected EU's trade with the East, China and India, which combined is the #1 trade right now in the world. With China, it's mainly the Russian land connection, which is now shut because of the Russians' aggression against Ukraine, and all of the western borders of Russia are currently shut. In the south, we had this oceanic route that was passing the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which is currently problematic because of the attacks of the Houthis, which in 2024 and 2025 forced majority of the companies to bypass through the Cape of Good Hope, bypassing Africa, taking significantly longer time and significantly more expensive transportation. Of course, there is always this northern oceanic route which is passing through the Arctic Ocean, which is shut half the year, and then the other half of the year is extremely dependent on Russia, which is still not the situation we want to find ourselves in. Recently, Turkey, Iran, and Pakistan announced that they want to recreate the southern railroad connection between China and the European Union, which is more of a dream conversation rather than a realistic approach. First of all, because of the security concerns mainly on the territory of Pakistan, and second, because of the lack of the logistical investments and logistical solutions on ground. There is no straight connection because, for example, in Turkey near the lake of Van, there is no railway connection. You have to bypass the Van Lake with a ship, which is change of modality, which is expensive. Now that brought us to a situation when everyone is talking about different connectivity initiatives such as Middle Corridor, One Belt, One Road, Black Sea Global Gateway, etc., etc. One way or another, all of them are passing to the South Caucasus and Central Asia. Mainly the whole idea is to put something together that would go through China, through Kazakhstan, through the port of Aktau, Caspian Sea, enter Baku, through the port of Baku, enter South Caucasus, and from here the most interesting part begins. Because part of the idea is to pass all of those connectivity through Georgia, and I would ask to put the South Caucasus map on the screen now, and then through the Georgian Black Sea ports to Europe. Why is it a problematic idea right now? Because that would mean change of modalities for the second time. So first, when they reach the Aktau, they have to pass Caspian Sea, then again through the land South Caucasus, then again a sea modality, which is again significantly raising the price for the logistics. Additionally, the Black Sea region right now is, again, on an unprecedented level of disruption compared to anything after World War II. And it's not a secure way to pass goods and services right now, at least for the foreseeable future. Which brings us to another idea, which was the One Belt, One Road initiative, which means that whenever the infrastructure will enter South Caucasus, it will not go to Black Sea, but rather to Turkey, and then through Turkey to Europe, through the railroad system of the Turkey from near the Black Sea region, near its northern coast, to the European Union. This is, first of all, dropping the cost, because in this case we're changing only one modality through the Caspian Sea, and then this is significantly more secure because we're not entering the Black Sea arena of war right now. I would also again ask to put the South Caucasus map on the screen. With the One Belt, One Road initiative, there are three potential ways how we can do this. One is through the Georgian railroad system, which is the one that exists now, to connect through Baku, through the Georgian railroad system, Azerbaijani railroad, Georgian railroad, and then the Turkish railroad, through TRIP, which is the know-how that was declared in Washington, connecting Turkey to Nakhichevan through the south of Armenia, through Mehri to Azerbaijan, which is again has its own positive sides and negative sides. It's shorter than the Georgian route, but on the other side, it's very close to the Iranian border, which is again a security threat for international trade and connectivity. But then there is another opportunity which is not being implemented right now, and where the European Union can find itself as the player number one compared to everything else, where, for the example, Americans are, or anyone else were playing. Could you please keep the map of South Caucasus on the screen for a little bit longer? And that route is the northern route through Armenia, connecting the city of Kars in Turkey through the cities of Gyumri, Vanadzor, and Ejivan in the north of Armenia to the city of Kazakh in Azerbaijan. This is the Kars in Turkey, Gyumri, Vanadzor, Ejivan in the north of Armenia to Kazakh in Azerbaijan. This is the shortest possible connection that bypasses South Caucasus. This is the shortest way to connect Turkey to Azerbaijan, and then more importantly, Europe to Central Asia. Through Baku, yes. This is 150 kilometers shorter than the Georgian route, and it is 140 kilometers approximately shorter than the TRIP. And when in Samarkand, Ursula von der Leyen announced that the future of the EU Central Asia connectivity to a large extent depends on Armenia's opening its border with Turkey and Azerbaijan, I think this is specifically what she meant and what we should mean. The shortest possible connection between Europe and China, and also Europe and Central Asia, lays within Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Turkey, and through the normalization process between these three countries. This is why this is extremely important, not just because of peace and integration in the region, but also in the scopes of the global trade and of course, earning money, which is not the last thing we should be concerned about, of course. This brings us to a situation where EU can have significantly bigger role in South Caucasus through the investments, through projects that it can push forward, especially compared with the American initiative of TRIP. As an expert, my biggest suggestion to the honorable politicians in this room would be not to follow Americans in their projects, but to create and to pursue your own projects. Because Americans have already invested and started their project through the south of Armenia, which is an important project. It will most probably be implemented, and it's extremely important for Azerbaijan, for Turkey, to a level for Armenia. But then economically, the most important project, and for Europe, the shortest way to enter Central Asia, to reach China through the land connection, is through the north of Armenia. This will happen one way or another with the process of normalization between Armenia and Azerbaijan taking place right now on the ground. This is an inevitable development. Many players would be extremely interested to have their hands on this project. First of all, Russia, because this is the main competing initiative to the existing Russian logistics that passes through Siberia, through Russia, and connecting Europe to China. Mainly, they will not interested to operate it, but rather to blockade it. Thus, the European Union and Russia are not really partners in this initiative, but rather competitors. For the region, for Armenia, for Azerbaijan, for Turkey, it would also be extremely interesting and important to involve the European Union in this project because of the level of presence of Russia, of the United States, and also regional powers. All of the South Caucasus countries would definitely be interested in a balancing power, which very much can EU be. Especially that EU already have its boots on the ground with the EU monitoring mission in place both in Georgia and in Armenia. The investments and political projects should follow. I'll stop here and be happy to answer the questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kochat. And I had to smile a little bit because before coming here, I was reading to my children the story of Vasco da Gama, who was trying to get pepper to Europe through the Cape of Good Hope. And now, 500 years later, we are still working on the same issues. So thank you for your intervention. I would like to open up the floor to any questions that members have to our distinguished guests and speakers. Over here? No? Oh, please. I haven't seen it. Thank you very much, Mr. Harris. The side. Right, so we have the question of Russian influence. No? Okay.
Thank you. I already got some of the answers I wanted to ask about, but I still want to have the feeling on how much the trip influences the whole project and why not we would not work not against each other, but in cooperation with US on these connectivity projects, and who is going to build this trip? Do we know that? Is it there? What is the European Union part of it? And the last question is how much is Russia influencing all these connectivity projects, and how can we work against it, against Russia in this connectivity? Because it is, of course, very fortunate that the peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan was not signed in Moscow. But now we need to, based on that, we need to get Europeans, well, and it is unfortunate that it was not signed in Brussels. But as it is, how we can, European Union, how we can try to work against Russia and support US and be together in that project. That would be my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Terras. We've already got someone showing hand for responses. Please, Mr. Kocheran.
So once more, I'd like to ask to put the map of South Caucasus on the screen in order to explain the situation on ground with the trip. So we are now in a phase where Azerbaijanis are building their railroad to the eastern border of Armenia. Most probably they will be there by the half of the next year, so June, July of 2026. So they are rebuilding their railroad to the eastern border of Armenia, in the southernmost point of Armenia, in the Mehri. By June, July 2026, they will reach our border. Then only after we will be able to start the construction of our own railroad, because in order to build a railroad, you need a railroad. The machine that builds railroad operates from a railroad. It will take approximately 2 to 3 years to build our part, and it's approximately $300 million cost. Then we will have to pass it to them again, because in Nakhichevan, they have approximately 10 kilometers of railroad from our border that is missing, and then they will need a restoration of the whole railroad system in Nakhichevan, because it was not used for approximately 30 years, which will again take a lot of time. So this is pretty much the situation the trip finds itself right now in. So it's $300 million on our side. I don't know the amount of money Azerbaijan is ready to spend on its side, but it's also a bigger amount of money, because they need to rebuild more than we do. We just need to rebuild 40 kilometers of a railroad. From this amount of money, based on the Armenian-American agreements, it's going to be outsourced, or an amount of money from foreign investors will be brought to this project, partially from the American companies, partially from third-party investors. And more specifically to the question of competing with the Americans rather than complementing, by no means my idea was to compete with the Americans. It was to compete with the Russians, to be honest. With the Americans, definitely we should complement each other. More than that, the trip and the northern route complement each other. They do not compete with each other. My idea was just not to put all of the efforts and all of the money in the trip, but rather to do something more in the north, let's say.
My question was more directed towards the European Union and its involvement there. So it's not but how we can have been sleeping so deep that we were not managing to get us here as a primary, and how we can avoid that. That now I make it more clear, perhaps.
Please, Madame Jablonska.
Thank you very much. As I was explaining earlier, I think the EU has significantly stepped up its efforts and its efforts to address the situation. As I was explaining earlier, the whole new strategic approach to the Black Sea is very clearly outlining the vision, including a very strong connectivity agenda. And with this, of course, we are working as well on concrete projects and also concrete financing. Also what my co-speaker has presented, this financing through Neighborhood Investment Platform, through mobilizing also our guarantees with IFIs. This is all on offer to invest in the middle corridor and in the connections that we right now discuss. As for trade, we are actually working with the American partners in the Global Gateway Forum that just happened a month ago, I think. The American administration joined us. We understand that also will join to the Tashkent discussions. So we are very much coordinating and trying to see how to complement actually each other, because as was shown on the map, TRIP is a part which needs to be connected further. Otherwise, it will be just a connection to nowhere. Maybe to nowhere I exaggerate, but nevertheless, a trip needs also a complement on its other side, Nakhichevan. I'm very sorry, I'm always pronouncing wrongly. And here, of course, there will be a very strong discussions with all our partners, because the most important is the political decisions, but also the decisions of the partner countries, and we will be following this up and hopefully also entering with investments as well. Because this is indeed the route that needs to keep connecting to the ports or to the Turkey or to the ports on the Black Sea, and then further also to the ports in the Mediterranean and the ports on the northern seas. In addition, of course, there is no need to only focus on one route. Diversification is, in our view, an extremely important priority. So there is no need, maybe, but of course this is all for discussion, to decide only on one route. Actually, the more efficient connections they are, most probably it will attract more cargo and more transit. Of course, it will take also from some other routes, but collectively on together, it has the potential to actually attract more cargo. In addition, of course, we have to take into account at the functioning route, which is already the Baku-Kars-Tbilisi route. Or Baku-Tbilisi-Kars route. So, of course, this all will have to be taken into account. The EU is very much, EU is it's a reliable partner, and the partnerships we need to build around the connectivity agenda need to be based on partnership with all the partners and on the mutual interests. This is what the agenda is rooted in. And therefore, even in this week, there will be a very important discussion with between the EU and the Armenian government to indeed start deciding where exactly this connection should be. There is possibilities, there are the different options, but it's very important exactly that all the partners coordinate. First of all, that there is a political decision and political will where to go and how to go together. And as I also was outlining, we also work with the global partners, including the Americans, but also we discuss with UK. So the interest in the region, as the region is indeed connecting EU to Central Asia, the interest is by many partners, and we will try definitely to coordinate. And in addition, of course, it's very important to attract financing. And the financing comes not only from on the global scene, not only from different countries, but also, of course, from our international financial institutions and also from the private sector. Here also we discuss with our American colleagues how to finance, how to come up with a very innovative way of financing of investments to basically bring in the private sector. And fortunately on the EU side we have the EFSD Plus also guarantees that we want to mobilize under this MFF, because of course we hope to gain even more resources in the next MFF, but here we have the Neighborhood Investment Platform and the guarantees, which are much more much bigger financial means that we can mobilize. But the most important part will be the political decisions and the decisions and also the decisions related to facilitation of trade and transit.
Thank you very much. We have one more question by Mr. Rosimpere.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I wanted to ask some questions about the difference of this north and south corridor through Armenia. Another things is, if I have understood well, there are two possibilities as of now to make the corridor from Baku to Turkey, taking the north of Armenia, connecting Kars and Gyumri, okay? Yes, Kars, Gyumri, Yerevan, Baku, or the other option is Baku to the south through Nakhchivan and then directly to Turkey. The two different options are depending on the opening of the frontier between Armenia and Turkey, which is, if I don't remember bad, closed since 1993, you know? So, first question, which maybe is a sensitive question. which are the possibilities of this, the real possibilities of this opening of the frontier of between Turkey and Armenia, because it's more than 30 years close, and the movements in Turkey doesn't appear to be opening instead of being closing. The second question is, this corridor is depending also in two more parts, the connection Baku-Aktau, okay, which I think is enough, and I think, but maybe we shall reinforce the two ports, and we shall work on the connectivity between both ports with the rail system. And the third part is the internal Kazakhstan railway. How is this corridor evolving? How is as of today? How many? Which is the percentage of this corridor that it is being developed or not? And for the future, two questions. Which is the estimated time in which we could be talking about the whole corridor be done? Yes, I know that this is almost impossible to foresee, but we are talking about 10 years, we are talking about 20 years, we are talking about 50 years, or more or less, because sometimes inside the European Union we are talking about the Mediterranean corridor. I live in the Mediterranean corridor, and I am waiting for the Mediterranean corridor more than 30 years, and we are a democratic country, we are in the European Union, we have our own budget, and we have a lot of problems to build our corridors. And the second, which is the estimated budget that we have for the global, I think the global Baku-Istanbul corridor, because I think that we are not going to invest in the Kazakhstan part, or yes, I don't know. And finally, who is supposed to collaborate or co-fund this investment? National authorities from Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan, European Union funding, private sector. You are including private sector in the EIB platform for investing. I think these are the main questions that I wanted to address. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we have one more question following up. I would collect and then give the floor back to our speakers.
Yeah, just one more question. We talk about MFF, and I would like to know what you expect for the next MFF in this big challenger, because I think everyone knows that it's very difficult to the next MFF. In the competitiveness too, we have our INI report, the connectivity between the countries inside our INI report and in our proposals. But I would like to understand what you expect from the next MFF. It's the financial to the projects. What do you think about this?
Thank you very much. So we have a couple of questions. Who would like to respond first? Mr. Koch.
Sure. I would once again ask to put the map of South Caucasus on the screen. So right now, all of the both northern route and the southern route that bypasses through the Armenia needs Armenia-Turkey border to operate. Because right now, Turks don't have a railroad connection with Nakhichevan. They only have a highway. They want to build a railroad, which is right now more of a propaganda move, to be honest, because it needs 2.5 billion euros of money of investment, and it will take approximately 10 years to build. And it's a clear duplicate of an existing Armenian railroad that connects Nakhichevan through the Armenian territory to Gyumri, and from Gyumri to Kars. So that's about the railroad connection between Turkey and Azerbaijan. So both northern connection and the southern connection both need Armenia-Turkey border to open. The current situation is that the Turks have only one demand from Armenia to open the border. That is a green light from Baku. Whenever Azerbaijani would not oppose the normalization between Armenia and Turkey, will be the moment when Armenian-Turkish normalization will happen. As of now, Azerbaijanis want to sign the peace agreement only after the constitutional changes in Armenia. At least this is the current stand of the situation, which in best scenario would happen in the upcoming 2 years. So that's on the political matter, at least as I understand it. Now with the amount of cargo that can pass through this territory, which is also an important element, because both Azerbaijanis and Turks are talking about 100 million tons per year. But if we are talking only about the southern corridor through Armenia, TRIP, the maximum amount of flow of goods that can bypass TRIP is 12 million tons per year. That's the best option. Geographically, it's impossible to do there more without significantly more investments. Which brings us to a conclusion that if not the northern route, if northern route is not operating, the amount of cargo transfer that Turkish part of the railroad and Azerbaijani part of the railroad is calculated to operate for is meaningless, because there will be always this bottleneck in the south of Armenia. Two more words about the Aktau-Baku connection. This is something that doesn't have any alternative. If we want any kind of a connection between Central Asia and South Caucasus, these have to be done, because alternatives are basically Russia and Iran, which are both, in my understanding, not really an alternative right now for our, at least for our Western colleagues. And yes. It will. They will both need investments, because the level of the Caspian Sea is getting down, and the amount of the cargo that can be switched between these ports is, of course, going down as well. So we need to deepen these ports, exactly. And the very last comment on this, and this is also the main critique that the Armenian civil society and think tank community has against our own government, is that until now the Armenian railroad system is under the Russian concession. It is not owned by Russian company, it is under Russian concession, and changes here are as well needed, because all of these projects, they sound very good, very temptive, you know, but then as long as all of this is under Russian concession, a railroad system. Of course, one could say that TRIP will not be under the Russian concession, because the concession agreement says that only the railroad that existed by the moment of the signature of the agreement have been passed to the Russian concession. Well, the Mevri route didn't exist at that point. But still, it's a major problem as of now, and it needs to be solved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To the question about the Central Asia, the ministerial I was talking about, it was cross-regional ministerial with Central Asian countries participating as well, all 5 of them. So we are already building very much on the EU Central Asia Summit and on the first investment forum that happened last year, and now in Tashkent on the 27th of November, we will have all the partner countries from Central Asia, but also from South Caucasus and Turkey participating. There will be already at that moment, look at the projects that happen in Central Asia, because 12 billion were already pledged last year for this connectivity agenda. And we are now building the connectivity with this Central Asia part and building the South Caucasus part, and also continuing with Moldova and Ukraine. So this is very broad agenda. We are uniting forces in that way for the first time. The ministerial was really unique. We have never had all the partner countries together, and also the Central Asian countries together. So this was really, we all, I think, felt in the room how special it is, and that it really launches a new cooperation. So here definitely the work is done on cross-regionally, and that also leads me to the question on the MFF. We hope that there will be a lot of developments under this MFF, including what was just described, that we have a lot of questions and answers to be given as related to the routes, as related to the connections, as related to not only about rail and roads, but further where will be the logistical centers, how we will address the ports, how we will address the seas. Indeed, Caspian Sea is under the problem. It's getting very shallow. We have problems of vessels. We have problems of rolling stock. So it's a lot of things that we will need to try to address already now. But if we believe that the ambition will be developing, and the cooperation should also allow us to tap in bigger resources under the MFF, but of course it's very difficult to answer how much because the resources are huge, and of course we right now also try to mobilize all the tools that we have under the current MFF and test them, including the guarantees, as I said, but also developing equity funding, joining private sector in. So we are testing a lot, and then maybe we will be able to even more forcefully mobilize the resources under the next MFF. And then not to forget, we also need investments, as I said, in the regulatory part. That's mean this all very important investments in infrastructure will not result in what we want to result if the transit stops on every border. Because then basically the private sector, the unpredictability how long it takes, because the northern route was predictable, one country. This route is very unpredictable, and that's an issue that we need to tackle together, how to make the transit predictable through all the border crossing points. And here I think it's also important to work with all fora, including Eastern Partnership, to bring this work together so that we can facilitate trade and transit. That will be extremely important, as investment in skills. Because the route will require not only roads to build rails, but will actually require people. It will result in jobs for construction, and it will result in jobs further when the route will be operating because of the economic growth. But first we need skills to actually build it. And that's another bottleneck that we probably will need to jointly address, and hope also for funding under this and the next MFF.
Thank you very much. I do not see any further questions, and would like to thank our speakers for all their insights and contributions. Thank you very much. An important topic, connectivity. And now we continue with our next agenda point, and I have the pleasure to pass the chairing on to Mrs. Galcian.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Distinguished members of parliament, dear guests, let me once more welcome you all to Yerevan, and I hope that apart from our productive working sessions, you will also have time to enjoy our beautiful capital. So continuing the major theme of the discussion, now we are moving on to the next point in the agenda, which is a presentation of the Armenian delegation's Crossroads of Peace infrastructure vision for deeper regional cooperation, enhanced economic development through increased trade, and lasting peace and stability in the South Caucasus. So for this purpose, I would like to welcome Ms. Isabella Muradian, Project Manager at the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Infrastructure, who will present the details of this project. Launched by the government of Armenia in 2023, the Crossroads of Peace initiative is a comprehensive vision for regional connectivity and economic cooperation in the South Caucasus. This project seeks to establish Armenia as a key transit linking to Persian Gulf, the Black Sea, and the Mediterranean through modernized road, rail, and energy infrastructures. By promoting open borders and reliable transport links, the initiative aims to facilitate trade, attract investment, and foster regional stability through mutually beneficial economic interdependence. So I will just give the floor to Ms. Muradian to present further details. Please, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to participate in this discussion. I would like to present in detail the initiative of the Crossroads of Peace, which is a visionary endeavor by the government of Armenia to re-establish the country as a strategic land bridge between Europe and Asia. By investing in transport infrastructure and institutional reform, Armenia aims to unlock regional economic potential and contribute to a more connected and resilient trade ecosystem. As its core, the CPI proposes the creation of Crossroads of Peace Network, a multimodal grid of priority road and rail links, modernized border crossings and logistics infrastructure that span from Black Sea to Central Asia and from Russia to the Persian Gulf. By leveraging Armenia's strategic location at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, the CPI aims to enhance economic ties with neighboring countries and better integrate the nation into global trade routes. The initiative's primary focus is on improving Armenia's transport infrastructure, including roads and railways, to create a seamless network that connects with major trade corridors across the region. This enhanced connectivity is expected to reduce transportation costs, improve trade route efficiency, and increase the speed and reliability of goods and passenger movement. By bridging gaps between Armenia and its neighbors, the CPI will foster regional cooperation and promote mutual economic benefits. As Armenia integrates more fully into global trade routes through improved transport linkages and proposed future border crossing points, new markets for Armenia goods are expected to open up, and the country will gain access to a wider range of imports. This development is poised to boost trade volumes and enhance Armenia's role in global supply chains. Additionally, the CPI is expected to facilitate economic diversification by improving access to foreign markets, supporting the growth of new industries such as manufacturing, agriculture, and logistics, and attracting foreign direct investments to further stimulate economic development. The initiative includes over 1,100 kilometers of interstate roads and 760 kilometers of railways, including dormant segments requiring rehabilitation. Integration with North-South road corridor, further enhancing North-South and East-West flow. A total investment of 3.2 billion in capital expenditure, with 16 million per year in maintenance costs. For a trade perspective, the CPI is projected to double Armenia's current international trade volume by 2035, facilitate more than 3 million tons of additional trade annually, reduce Europe-Central Asia transit time by 5 to 7 days compared to current routes, increase EU-South Caucasus trade by 20% through corridor diversification. The CPI is expected to reduce trade costs by about 19%, with the benefits of this reduction accruing more with trade partners. The CPI's success will depend on key enabling actions: regional cooperation agreements for transport and customs harmonization, public-private partnership for dry ports, special economic zones and terminal facilities, deployment of digital trade platforms, including ETR and automated customs inspection, to develop safe, efficient, and sustainable infrastructure. The preliminary assessments highlighted the critical need to enhance Armenia's domestic and cross-border connectivity to achieve the ambitious CPI goals. Connectivity is a cornerstone of economic development and sustainability, facilitating both regional integration and Armenia's access to international markets. Efficient infrastructure systems are essential not only to move people and goods, but also to enable growth of industries and services that depend on reliable transportation networks. Robust transport infrastructure, encompassing road, rail, and associated logistic facilities, is fundamental for creating productive linkages that attract investment and expand economic opportunities. Developing this infrastructure will require the creation of an integrated road and rail network that aligns with CPI objectives for both freight and passenger movement. The integration of this transport mode is essential to maximize productivity and efficiency while supporting Armenia's role as a bridge within the global trade network. This will entail constructing and upgrading critical road and rail corridors, modernizing border facilities, and ensuring seamless connectivity with regional transport systems. To foster investor confidence and attract FDI, these developments must meet international standards for design, safety, and operational efficiency. Armenia stands ready, but the full realization of this vision requires the active engagement of international organizations and IFIs, not only as financiers, but as partners in technical reform, regional diplomacy, and climate-smart investment. With determination and collaboration, Armenia can transition from being landlocked to land-linked, serving as a linchpin of stability and trade in South Caucasus and beyond. Our new strategy and vision aligns with Armenian broader national transformation goals and aims to position our country not just as a point on the map, but as a regional and international connector. It seeks to elevate Armenia's role in global trade by enhancing road, rail, and institutional infrastructure through CPI. Initial assessment mainly outlined 8 strategic enablers, ranging from infrastructure development and policy reform to financing, institutional effectiveness, and environmental safeguards. Within this framework are over 40 sub-strategies and 170 specific action items. Of these, several high-priority actions need to begin immediately, including feasibility and design studies for priority routes, real-time logistics and cross-border data systems, strengthened trade facilitation policies, bankable project development capacity. The predicted main impacts of this initiative are the following. By 2035, the strategy could induce 3 million tons of additional trade annually, essentially doubling Armenia's current international trade volume. Transit traffic through Armenia could sharply increase, making Armenia an attractive corridor compared to longer Black Sea and Russian routes. The benefits to Europe include, but are not limited to, 5 to 7 days shorter transit time to Central Asia, diversification of supply chains amid geopolitical risks, reduced freight costs and new intermodal trade opportunities via Turkey and Georgia, greater alignment with EU green and digital corridor policies, including TIR. The implementation main aspects are simultaneous opening of road border crossings to test real market response, design of one-stop crossings, especially at Ahurik, which is critical for both rail and road, use of inland freight inspections to ease border bench lengths, expansion of tier ETIR system with 100,000 guarantees per vehicle and dedicated lanes, consideration of public-private partnership for concessing border infrastructure. The upcoming assessment must include the detailed information about the optimization of route selection based on updated CAPEX and traffic models. Multi-criteria assessments aligned with the national development priorities, the final economic evaluation and cost-benefit analysis, structuring of financial models to ensure the CPI investment does not crowd out other public programs. In summary, the Crossroads of Peace is more than a transport strategy. It is a geostrategic connector that embodies the EU's vision for sustainable connectivity, resilience, institutional reform, and peaceful cooperation. It is well positioned to attract EU funding and support under Global Gateway Investment Package for Eastern Partnership, especially through corridor-level cooperation with Georgia and Turkey. In conclusion, the Crossroads of Peace is not just an initiative, it's a call to action, a plan for peace, prosperity, and partnership. If implemented carefully and inclusively, Armenia emerged not as a landlocked nation, but as a vital land bridge linking Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Let us move forward strategically, confidently, and sustainably together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Muradyan, for a very detailed and comprehensive presentation. Now I'm opening the floor for questions, remarks regarding the topic. Please.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to take us back for a moment to the previous discussion and thank Madam Jablonska, Madam Melikadze, and Mr. Kochinyan for their contributions and the colleagues for the active engagement. I just felt like I want to share a piece of positive news, perhaps also to conclude our committee proceedings. A few days ago, Azerbaijan announced that they are lifting the blockade for transit through their territory to bring goods to Armenia. and the first railroad connection will be opened for us, and it's already on its way, bringing grain from Kazakhstan through Azerbaijani territory. Because we don't have the project that Arek was advocating here for through the north of Armenia open yet, which we really hope will happen, this grain will travel from Azerbaijan to Georgia, and then it will enter Armenia. This is an extremely positive development, and of course Armenia reciprocates, stating once again that our territory is open for Azerbaijani transit to connect to Nakhichevan and further on to Turkey, to the Black Sea, and to you in the European Union. So we're taking important, small but important steps towards complete deblocking of our region, which is in the interest of all. And actually, since we talked about like competition and complementing, of course, Armenia is for complementing all these projects, hence the name of these crossroads of peace. We also want the north-south connection to be maintained because it is extremely important for our region. And I actually want to draw attention to this political component. The more roads we have, the less each and every single roads, rails, and any other modality, the less each and every single connection can be manipulated as political leverage. So this diversifying of connection will really be a network of interdependencies in the South Caucasus, the wider region, but it will also contribute to bringing long-term stability and peace to our region and the wider Eurasia, because then all these roads will complement each other and they won't be used as leverage and means of coercion, economic coercion on each other. This much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions regarding the presentation and the Crossroads of Peace initiative? No? Yes, please.
Just coming from Europe, where we have a lot of bureaucracy and red tape, and it gets to large infrastructure projects. I'm living in a city where we've taken 20 years to build a train station. My question is, what is the reception of the general population, and what is the time frame you could see this being built, in fact? So what is the prospects of putting this pragmatically into practice?
Thank you for the question. Actually, Ministry of Territorial Administration and Infrastructure is in the middle of assessment to being conducted by the World Bank. In the result of this, we will have all this time frame and step-by-step guide with the priorities, where to start, what are the priority steps to conduct, and what is the optimal time frame to go forward with the main priorities. Right now, we cannot announce the exact time frame because it needs a very multifunctional feasibility, which is being done. I think we can announce and be close to the reality after the assessment is finalized.
Thank you very much. And if there are no other questions and remarks regarding this topic, let's move on to our next point in the agenda, which is the exchange of views and selection of the topic for the next report of the committee. Our next agenda points concerns the selection of our next report's topic, and I would like to remind you all that the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly had decided in March 2016 to choose the subjects of the reports in a way which would ensure better synergies with the ongoing works of the Eastern Partnership thematic platforms. For your information, in the case of the Economic Committee, the thematic platform number 2 on economic integration and convergence with the EU policies is focusing on the following topics: trade-related regulatory cooperation, transport, business development, environment and climate change, agriculture and rural development, harmonization of digital markets, taxation and public finances, and macroeconomic and financial stability. Our Secretariat has received the following proposals for future reports. The first one is development of transport and trade corridors in the Black Sea region as a factor of economic security. This was proposed by Ukrainian delegation. And the second topic is strategic autonomy together, European Eastern Partnership approach to raw materials resilience, which is Ms. Weschler's proposal. So I know that we have also a third proposal for the next report, and I would also ask you to present the topic. Thank you.
Okay, yes, on behalf of the S&D group in the European Parliament, we presented a proposal for a report titled The Importance of Regional Connectivity for Economic Prosperity, which means we are talking about regional connectivity or international connectivity, but how is it going to impact in the economic prosperity, and how can we link and evaluate the impact of the connectivity into the regional prosperity of the countries of this area. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you please repeat the full title of the proposed report? Thank you. Now, according to the agenda, we open the discussion for the selection of the topics, discussion and selection of the topics for the next report. Any comments, proposals before voting? Yes, please.
When I look at the suggestions made by the Ukrainian delegation and now the one made by the Social Democrats, it's very similar, just with a very different focus. Whilst the Ukrainians focus on economic security, you have the focus on regional prosperity. And I was just going to say, you might just want to merge those two. But then also, being member of the European Parliament, I do want to see regional prosperity and I want to see economic security, but I also want to see benefits for the European Union. So I'm wondering whether we can merge somehow those aspects in some title. I do see, even though the other proposal was from me, that there is a lot of push for interconnectivity, which makes a lot of sense. So I'd be very happy to go along with merging 1 and 3, but then we would have to find some good formulation, which could possibly bring in sort of the internal market rhetoric as well for Europe.
I think that we can perfectly have a compromise title between 1 and 3 about regional connectivity and the impact on security and economic prosperity. It's more or less the possibility to merge both reports, but I don't know exactly the title of the second one. If we could arrive to a global merging, but maybe a global merging will be a very big report with different topics and not feasible. I don't know if we can address 2 reports or we have to vote. I don't know. I'm new in this Euronet.
You mean the second one, or the global dimension, or what?
We can merge with Ukrainian the regional connectivity, the impact on security and economic prosperity. For us, it's okay. But then we have another one, no? To vote, I don't know if we can address 2 reports or we have to vote. Thank you.
So should we discuss the merged topic now before putting it to vote? So any proposals from your side? Wider regional connectivity rather than the Black Sea region.
Rather than?
The key difference between what you are proposing and what the Ukrainian delegation has proposed is that yours is taking a wider regional connectivity, tackling both security, economic security and prosperity, and the Ukrainian delegations is focusing on the Black Sea region. I see that's the biggest difference. So we can put all 3 options.
Yes, we agree with this.
Yes, please.
Sorry, Secretariat of the Ukrainian delegations. First of all, very happy to be here, and we are discussing like the merging of topics, right, of our counterparts, and you say that the topic of our counterparts is more general. We have specific because we are talking about Black Sea region. Are we okay with that, you're asking?
Yes.
Yes, delegation. Yes, we support.
I think it would be best to have three separate topics. The first one suggested by the Ukrainian delegation would be development of transport and trade corridors in the Black Sea region as a factor of economic security. The second one, strategic autonomy together, a European Eastern Partnership approach to raw material resilience. And the third one, importance of regional connectivity for security and economic prosperity. Are you okay with this?
And I was reading it differently. I was reading the Ukrainian delegation as, yes, we can merge it, so that we could only go out with two options. And having looked at the title, what I would like to suggest is there was now the idea of the importance of regional interconnectivity. I would say, in order to merge the Black Sea as well, the importance of interconnectivity, and then you can, put it to whatever region you wish. For economic security, because that was important to the Ukrainian delegation, and now the question is for regional prosperity, but why don't we put in European prosperity as well, for regional and European prosperity, because it's strategic for us as well. So I'm suggesting the importance of interconnectivity for economic security and regional and European prosperity.
I was going to draw attention to the title of this report that we just discussed today. It's also like trade, investment, connectivity. It has many components. So I would really advocate for the agreement between the S&D group and the Ukrainian delegation, and adding Madam Wexler's component of European as well, and having a report, and then letting the rapporteurs deal with the multiple components that we have tasked them with. So I think consensus is much better. Thank you.
The very last proposal is much better. Excellent. So we are voting on two. No, we have one more.
No, we just joined all three.
No. Yes, this is merged. These two topics are merged in one.
Three topics were merged,
yes,
as I understood.
Do you support it?
Yes, of course.
Like with the raw materials, I think it's very specific. I can withdraw the proposal, and then we have one proposal, or we vote on it as whatever you like.
I support one report, and I think the proposal was to join the two, and plus the European prosperity, adding to it is the three reports all in one.
Yeah, but the Social Democrats suggested a third topic. So we had the third topic, and we just merged 1 and 3.
Whatever, the more the merrier.
So, dear colleagues, we have the following title for this merging of two topics. The first one, and we have two versions for the topics for the next report. The first one is importance of interconnectivity for economic security, regional and European prosperity. This is one topic for a report. And the second one is strategic autonomy together, a European Eastern Partnership approach to raw material resilience. So we are going to vote for these two options. Yes? You have points? Okay. The first one, importance of interconnectivity for economic security, regional and European prosperity. Yeah? And the second, strategic autonomy together, a European Eastern Partnership approach to raw material resilience. So we're voting for number one. And number two. Oh, you.
We can vote for the both or only one? Choice only one?
Can we both vote two? Yeah, yes.
How it's possible?
Since one of the committee members has just returned, let's do the voting again if you don't mind. Can we do it again? So the first topic for the next report. We can only vote for one also. Please note that. Huh? Yes, we're now voting again, and I will read the title again. Topic number one for the next report, importance of interconnectivity for economic security, regional and European prosperity. Okay. And topic number two for the next report, strategic autonomy together, a European Eastern Partnership approach to raw materials resilience. Okay, so we now have, according to the votes, the topic for the next report. I won't read it again. Let's just confirm it. And we're moving on to the next point, which is the additional remarks, comments regarding this session. Anyone has anything to do before we finalize? No? Then I want to thank you all. Thank you very much for very interesting discussions, for productive work, and hopefully we'll see each other for the next sessions. Thank you.